must tell our people the truth. Nothing his but the truth. Pepper them with the truth. Don't pamper them with lies, falsehoods, and swashbuckling tales of things that never were and may never ever be. And the first truth I need us to keep telling our people is historical truth. What is historical truth? Many Igbos think that we were forced suddenly to become part of Nigeria. This nostalgia we are having about a Biafra that seems to be the Garden of Eden, where things were 100% perfect before Nigeria happened, is illusion. There was never a time and the Southeast was like Dubai before Nigeria happened and things started scattering. In fact, before Nigeria happened, there was no such thing like Anambra, Enugu, Imo. Anywhere there is opportunity, we want to be there. Let's stop creating the impression or listening to those who make it look like our being in other places was because all of a sudden Nigeria happened and they came and deported us to Babylon, to other places, and now we want to come back. That's not a historical truth. And if you read history, this thing we are talking about, marginalization, is accident of history. The trajectory before was that everywhere you go, when Nigeria was made, everywhere you go, Igbos dominated in education, in civil service, in military. That's why you have an Igbo man, Chukwuma Kaduna Nzeogwu. He was in charge of what? Military in the north. Anybody who is giving you any fantastic idea of a Biafra that existed where job opportunity was 100/1, where there was a land flowing with milk and honey and all of that, it's not true. There were historical things that happened. You could say they were beyond anybody's control. So it's not like the other part of Nigerians sat down, strategically planned to come and put us in a situation where we found ourselves. We are also part of the mistakes that got us to where we are. History does not lie. It's only those who narrate it and who interpret it that may lie. Igbos have benefited from Nigeria. Nigeria has benefited from Igbos. If you see it this way, then you remove every hatred, anger, bitterness. Because you cannot heal when there is hatred, when there is anger, when there is bitterness.
You just heard Reverend Father Oluoma speak. He asked that we pepper our people with truth. Father, I accept that challenge and I am going to hold you to your own standard. On whether East was exceptional before the war, this is not nostalgia. It is documented record. The University of Nigeria, Nsukka, founded by Nnamdi Azikiwe and formally opened on the 7th of October 1960, was the first indigenous autonomous university in Nigeria and the first land-grant university in Africa. University of Nigeria, Nsukka, I said, is the first indigenous university in Nigeria, not built by colonial authorities, built by Eastern Region vision, Eastern Region money, and Eastern Region sacrifice. That is not a myth, and that is not nostalgia. That is an institutional fact. You can verify it today. On oil, nearly all of Nigeria's oil at the time of the Civil War was produced in the Eastern Region. Over 83% by Royal Dutch Shell alone. You can fact check this also because you said we should pepper our people with the truth. And this is truth. You can verify it. The oil wealth that today funds the Nigerian federal government flows overwhelmingly from the soil of the then Eastern Region. To suggest that the region had nothing of value before the war is not humility. It is a historical insult, Father. On the mention of Major Chukwuma Kaduna Nzeogwu, Father, you invoked Nzeogwu, my brother, as a symbol of Igbo mobility within Nigeria. The example is valid, but your facts need correction. And the correction actually strengthens the counter-argument. Patrick Chukwuma Kaduna Nzeogwu was born on the 26th of February 1937 in Kaduna, the capital of Northern Region. He attended St. Joseph's Catholic Primary School and St. John's College, both in Kaduna. for his entire elementary and secondary education, all in Kaduna. Similarly, Murtala Mohammed is from Auchi. He became head of state because he was born and brought up in the north. So, invoking Nzeogwu, who was born and brought up in the north, because he answers Igbo name and he's from an Igbo town that is not even in the eastern region, as a way to validate what happened to us, is an insult on history. Father, what I described about Nzeogwu was his family's affinity to the city of his birth, that his military colleagues gave him the name Kaduna. He was so attached to where he was born, not to Igboland, not to Opanam, not to Asaba, that he was given the name Kaduna as a middle name. Furthermore, Father, Nzeogwu was not from the eastern part of Igboland. He has parents from Opanam, near Asaba, in present-day Delta State. That place was Midwestern region. Even though we are Igbo, that place was not Eastern region. When the attack started, where they targeted was Igboland, even if they were attacking communities in Western Igboland because of our ethnicity, their primary target was Ojukwu in Eastern Igboland. So let's conclude on Nzeogwu that he's an Igbo man from Anyoma, not the eastern part of Igboland. He was born, raised, educated, and died, having spent almost no time at all in the eastern region. So, when you use Chukwuma Kaduna Nzeogwu to make your point, Father, you have actually succeeded in proving ours, that the dispersal of our people across Nigeria was driven by the need to seek opportunity within a system that was already structuring them out. On what happened after the war, Father, this one makes me sad. You said no one sat down strategically to harm Igbo people. The policy record speaks otherwise. The records out there. In fact, let's watch this video.
The Nigerian Civil War was planned on the campus of the University of Ibadan. Somebody has to write a book on that, in which the Vice Chancellor, a prominent historian, you already know I'm talking about, was also using his house to frame the project of the Civil War. You understand? And I'm not criticizing him, because when you cut segments of a conversation, it becomes a problem to those who are interpreting it. I'm not criticizing him. The Nigerian Civil War was led by an educated person who trained in England, one of the very first to have a degree to join the Nigerian army.
Now, I don't want to dwell on that video. After the war, banks in Igbo region were made to pay all account holders a flat rate of £20, regardless of what they had deposited before the war. People who had billions, people who had millions, people who had thousands ended up with £20. And Gawon, in connivance with his commissioner for finance, Obafemi Awolowo, used the same money to plan for First Tax 77 and to give Yoruba people free education. And you say all was fair. Father, we are not daft, and we should not be insulted with false history. So after the war, a trader, a doctor, a businessman, all were reduced to the same economic level of £20. That was not accident. That was a decree. That was something that was well planned to keep us in one level, all of us. The abandoned property policy resulted in the sale of Igbo-owned properties outside Igboland, and combined with the 20-pound policy, these measures undermined all the 3 R's of reconciliation, reconstruction, and what again did he call it? Reintegration. Which of the R's was properly implemented, Father? I'm asking you directly, Father Oloma. Now, the entrenched grievances that remained unsolved still remain unsolved even unto this day. And you ask us to forget, to pretend like it never happened and never mention Biafra again. This brings me to the most important point, healing. You are right that healing cannot come through hatred. But Father, during the Nigerian genocidal war against Igbo, the University of Nigeria Nsukka, that beacon of African education, faced sustained wartime damage from which it could not easily recover, even as the Nigerian federal government enjoyed larger access to oil revenue. They could not come back to rebuild the school they destroyed during wartime. You cannot ask a people to heal by first asking them to pretend like the wound was never there or like the wound was never made. Acknowledging what the Eastern region built and what was taken from it is not bitterness. It is the truth you yourself demanded that we speak. The Eastern region was not paradise, but it was a civilization ascending. And the record of that ascent is not swashbuckling. It is not a swashbuckling tale. It is in the archives. It is there for you to go and fact check. Thanks for watching this reaction video. I hope that going further, we do not try to make people look like they do not research or they do not read. I don't know how old you were in 1967. Probably you were not born. I wasn't. So all of us had to read to learn about the history of Eastern Igboland before today. So, Father, I hope I have successfully convinced you that Nigeria did a lot of damage to the Eastern region and to the surrounding parts of Igboland. If you know what happened in Asaba, if you know what happened in Eshagu, if you know what happened in Ogwashuku, where a man from a particular family that I know was asked to bring out his children, 7 of them were all unalived in his presence. They went to look for the wife where she ran to, unalived her. You do not come online and tell people to pretend like nothing happened and move on. You are insulting our sensibilities, sir. So please, next time you pick up a microphone to speak, be sensitive. Know that you are talking to a people who are wounded, whose wounds have not healed. Thanks for watching this very video. My name, once again, is Prince Onwadene Ngozi Chukwuka Fortune, and I will see you in my subsequent videos. Bye.